3 new Star Wars movies. We knew movies were coming, but we now have their theatrical release date. So we know it's December 2022, 2024, and 2026.
I'm glad they're finally going back to December releases. I hope they learned their lesson with like Solo, that they just need to dominate that December box office.
And it seems that's the case because what we've gotten from Disney Studios is a new schedule of movies that reflects the acquisition of Fox. And so now you're seeing a lot of new titles and you're seeing familiar titles shifted. Like New Mutants might never happen, folks. I'm sorry about it. But it looks like Star Wars and Avatar will be alternating that Disney family season slot for the next several years. And so when we first got this news, everybody gets excited. We did I don't want to say a very nice article because I wrote it, so that would be overindulgent as well. But we did do a write-up on BeyondTheBlastDoors.com where we kind of just broke down, we gave you the whole slate. We talked about, who could possibly be in charge of those movies. And we'll get to that in a second. But Jesse, I want to start with you as far as, is 2022 too soon or not soon enough for new movies after the conclusion of the Skywalker saga this December with The Rise of Skywalker?
I think it's perfect because, we're getting episode 9 this year, this December, and that's going to be it for movies. So it's technically, we're going to have a 3-year gap as far as movies go, potentially, unless they have a Easter egg for us at a next year's celebration in Anaheim. But a lot of people are like, well, what am I going to do? Well, you've got The Mandalorian coming and you've got Clone Wars coming, and rumor has it that The Mandalorian's already been renewed for a second season. That's how confident they are in that live action show that's coming to Disney Plus. So it's not like we're going to be void of Star Wars stuff. There's going to be books and comics, obviously, they also fill in that time too. Again, as David Gilbert mentioned, I think, we had Last Jedi followed by Solo. I think it was too close together. They should have spaced those apart. I think Solo probably would have done a little bit better in the box office. If you still haven't watched Solo, go watch it. It's a great movie. But, people were complaining, like, I'm going to be such and such age, but by the time this comes out, it's like, so?
My thing is, the 3-year gap isn't anything unfamiliar to Star Wars fans. I mean, think about this. Look at the gap between Return of the Jedi and Phantom Menace. Don't complain. Think about the gap between Revenge of the Sith and Force Awakens. Again, don't complain. And when you're thinking about 99 to 2002, 2002 to, 2005, I mean, this is nothing unfamiliar. And Jesse, you made such a great point. What you pacify the time with is Disney Plus. You're going to get theatrical quality content with Mandalorian. You're getting the Clone Wars back. The Cassian Andor series is there. And I will tell you, I think there's a chance that we would return to the Star Wars story format of movies with the streaming service. Bob Iger has been quoted several months ago saying that wouldn't be the case. But I think Disney Plus does change everything. And I think it's going to make them a buttload of money. And I think that's your opportunity. You're either going to get that Obi-Wan movie there or that Obi-Wan series. We think it's an Obi-Wan series, according to a report from John Hoey over at Star Wars Newsnet. That was a few months ago. We had him on the show, episode 50-something, interviews on the YouTube channel. So you have all this great storytelling. You're just going to be going a different place. You're not going to the theater the next 3 years after The Rise of Skywalker. You'll be at home, streaming. And that's totally fine. But the next question is,
what story are they going to tell?
Well, what story they're going to tell and who's going to be telling that story? Because there's what we know is 2 camps, right? There's the Rian Johnson trilogy. There's the Benioff and Weiss trilogy that they're directing, or they're writing at least. I don't think they're directing it. They're writing it. Johnson's writing and directing his, and they're supposed to be together. I believe it was Kathleen Kennedy said that these 2 trilogies would be forming the next saga in Star Wars.
Oh, they have confirmed they're going to be together?
I believe it was Kathleen Kennedy that said that. I can double check that, and I can maybe that's a write-up I do on the website, but I'm pretty sure out of Star Wars Celebration, it was Kathleen Kennedy that was quoted. It might have been this interview with Steele Saunders. But the two trilogies will kind of work together to make that next saga in Star Wars. So, David, what do you think this is going to be? I mean, what do we know right now about Rian Johnson and Benioff and Weiss? Because they're both working on projects, technically, right?
That news kind of changes what I was thinking about, because I I didn't go to Celebration.
What were you thinking?
I was still thinking that they were going to be two separate things. The Johnson was going to be like this own corner of the galaxy, that we're going to get something brand new. And then we still didn't know what Benioff and Weiss were doing, but based off the success of Game of Thrones, something grittier, something more down, in the dumps, maybe something more Knights of the Old Republic theme, which we've talked about a number of times. Internet's a buzz about that. But learning now that they're going to be kind of put together, that could be interesting because they have very different storytelling styles. I mean, just look at Game of Thrones and you look at The Last Jedi, and they are very, very different in how they're presented to the viewers.
But is this an opportunity? Like, if I'm thinking of Age of the Republic, you could do like one trilogy could be about the Sith, and one could be the Jedi, and then like the third movie for both would actually then be colliding.
Together?
I've heard that idea. Or, there's a few ways I guess you could do that series if they're interlocking. Maybe they're just jumping in different parts of the era. I'm not quite sure, but it excites me that there is that maybe cohesion to form that next saga. Benioff and Weiss, though, I guess we've been continually talking about their trilogy because Game of Thrones premiered, that final season premiered while we were at Celebration. They said that once they finished with that series, that finale, they would start on their trilogy. And they've been probably doing some design work in the meantime, as far as like, people got to get hired. They got to do their jobs and such.
Right.
But, is 2022 going to be a Benioff and Weiss, and 2024 is going to be a Johnson, and they're just going to be flip-flopping? Or is this going to be like Benioff and Weiss doing 22, 24, 26, and then the Rian Johnson trilogy?
I would rather see, like, okay, so whether it's Johnson's 3 movies first, followed by their 3 movies, or vice versa. And I'm not trying to, like, rehash all the complaints of the last year. That's been the biggest complaint that people have had with Rian Johnson in The Last Jedi, is that he seemed to have kind of disregarded what was set up in The Force Awakens. Now, that opinion might change still, considering...
But how does that even be a concern for you? Because we know that he's dealing with a new time period, brand new characters. There's no attachment. He can do literally whatever he wants.
As far as if the stories are entwined together, I don't want to see them rotate the movies together, because at this point, I still feel like he could have done a little bit more to tie in The Force Awakens to The Last Jedi. Now, again, with Episode 9 coming out, that opinion may change. It may all tie in together, and you might look at the whole, 3, movies that we've had.
In JJ, we trust.
Okay, it tied in great. It's fine. But I'd rather just see them like, Benioff and Weiss do their 3 movies, or, Johnson do their 3 movies first. And then, one of the other picks.
I'm with Jesse on that one, because I think if you kind of zipper them together and go back and forth, Rian Johnson would have to go first, because if Benioff and Weiss do their first movie, and then Johnson does his first movie, and then Benioff and Weiss are second, we may see what Johnson's already done before, where he just sweeps some stuff under the rug that he doesn't want to deal with.
Yeah, if it's truly if it truly connects to be the same saga, you definitely want those 3 to be in the room together, planning that story, making sure that it is cohesive. But again, those are the words, I believe, again, from Kathleen Kennedy from Star Wars Celebration. And so we'll continue to follow how that develops.
Did I read somewhere that at Celebration, Kathleen kind of said that she was going to retire in 2021 or 2020?
I don't.
Kind of after this?
No.
I didn't hear anything personally about that, but...
I feel like the internet would be blowing up if that had happened.
I mean, I'm not looking forward to that, because I think she's done some amazing things, but I would also kind of like to see, if we're going to continue with all of these Disney Plus shows and movies, a more concerted writing effort to tie everything together like we get with Marvel, as opposed to the format we've had for the last decade with Star Wars, where the director gets to do kind of whatever they want.
I think that's all very valid. I think it's really... all good points, and I'm not trying to like disagree with you or argue. Those listening and watching, I think we can all agree there's a lot of different ways this can look. But I'm very much, I guess, when it's all said and done, I want to see. I would like to see Benioff and Weiss trilogy first, because I think that has the most potential for me to be excited. So I'm being a little selfish, and then see what Rian Johnson does. And you know what? This is the schedule that got released this past week. There could be another schedule that drops in a couple months from now, that would include more Star Wars movies. And then maybe we get some insight into, who is in charge of those movies. But last question for this conversation is, how soon do you think that we hear who is in charge of these movies and seeing the first footage. Do we see it this year? Do we see it next year? When's the first time? David, let's start with you.
So they normally start rolling footage, 15, 18 months before the movie gets released?
Yes.
So I would expect that would mean somewhere mid-2020, they're actually starting to film and put things together. So I'd probably say that we're looking probably next summer before we start getting information on who the director is, maybe a little tidbits about where the story is going. Enough time for us to get through The Rise of Skywalker and, hopefully bask in our euphoria.
Good point. That's exactly what I was going to ask. Jesse, are you
pretty much on the same line there. At the earliest, I think we'll start maybe seeing some concept art or some of that those concepts and storyboards maybe kind of hit the internet. I don't think we'll really get a lot of major information until that celebration prior, to that movie that December.
I can roll with it.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's what we're all thinking here on Beyond the Blast Doors. Want to know what you're thinking? You're watching, you're listening. Make sure you comment down in the section below. You can do that whether you're watching or listening. But if you're driving, maybe pull over and do that. But let us know what you think about all these movies, your excitement for who could be helming these movies, and when you think we'll get our first look and real information on those movies. Let us know down in the comments below.
Thank you for watching Beyond the Blast Doors. Be sure to subscribe to our channel. Don't forget, give us a thumbs up and leave a comment. Beyond the Blast Doors, a Star Wars conversation.